Good evening from New York. I'm
finishing up my last set of rows at the gym. What did I miss from Tucker? Oh, nothing. We're just going. We're just kind of going. I am in a mood. I am in a mood. I don't know if I'm I don't think I'm bored. I'm frustrated. I am very frustrated. But we're just going to blow off steam, hang out, and go through some articles that we missed on AAA that I couldn't allow time for, etc., etc. Wrong thing. Why does his face look like it's melting? Chris Hayes, are you alive?
Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. So Republicans have now been in control of the House for about 2 months. They have, let's be honest, shockingly little to show for it.
They've been in control for 2 months and they haven't destroyed everything?
Barely eked out the House majority following the most disappointing midterm results for an out-of-power party in decades.
And while that is technically true, I don't know why I shared my 2 months. I had a button like a boomer. Thank you, Baba Yaga. I appreciate it.
Midterm that was so disappointing, I would argue, many others have, largely because Republicans focus so intently on fringe Fox News culture war issues.
Okay, this is where you're fucking up, because Fox News primetime, even, you know, the Rachel Maddow and the Chris Hayes and those guys, you can add their viewership together and they still don't make up what half of Tucker gets. So whether you agree with their opinion or not, you cannot just ignore it and call it fringe. That you cannot do that. You cannot ignore 60-something million people of a population and go, they're a fringe minority. We don't have to listen to them. That's how you get revolutions.
And now, their governing agenda is focused almost exclusively on fringe Fox News culture war issues.
Like what? Can you tell us what? I would love to know what. I should be recording this first segment. I'll have to go back and clip it later.
For instance, do they have a serious, credible plan to tackle inflation? No, of course not. Have they even pretended to?
The number one thing we can do is stop sending money overseas to a conflict that doesn't involve us. That would be the number one plan.
Have one. Not as far as I can tell. They're focused on Hunter Biden and whether or not we should cut off aid to Ukraine.
So stopping inflation? What?
And I have to admit, the Democrats, who are now unburdened from the responsibilities of unified government, which are difficult, are having some fun. Yesterday, President Joe Biden took Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia to task, who's the face of the Republican Party, for a spurious claim she made about overdose deaths.
So the fact that overdose deaths are up significantly is spurious and should be ignored?
Marjorie Taylor Greene and
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
a few more, you're going to have a lot of Republicans running our way.
What was that? Is that English?
Taylor Greene and a few more, you're going to have a lot of Republicans running our way.
Marjorie Taylor Greene and a few more, we're going to have a lot of Republicans running our wagon. What?
Isn't she amazing?
Oh. What is that smile?
Oof.
Ugh. Yeah, I know, Shiru. We covered it on AAA. Could they not comb his hair when they rolled him out of bed?
Ours, the reason she was very specific. I shouldn't digress, probably. Ours,
What was
the reason
it?
she was.
Richard Harvard. In the foot.
Ours, the reason she was very specific. I shouldn't digress probably, but I've read. She was very specific recently, saying that a poor mother who lost 2 kids to fentanyl, that I killed her sons.
I'm pretty sure she said your policies, but either way.
Well, the interesting thing is that fentanyl they took came during the last administration. Look, folks. Anyway, I don't want to get started.
Oh, man, you could tell that he knew he fucked up immediately. I didn't see the full clip. But you could tell that he's like, ooh, ooh, ooh.
You kind of wanted to get started, didn't you? Credit where it's due. It's probably a smart political strategy for Democrats to highlight and elevate Marjorie Taylor Greene at every possible turn from now until 2024.
Yes, that is true. Marjorie Taylor Greene is kind of a fucking wacko, but she's not wrong when she talks about issues concerning the southern border or anything like that.
Congressman Jamie Raskin also went on a very satisfying tear this week after his colleague, Lauren Boebert, used a rather worn and obnoxious Republican verbal tick favored by Donald Trump.
The gentlelady was making a grammatical error that I heard some of her colleagues make.
What am I looking at? What is this? Why do you have cancer? Why is that on your head?
Before, I believe she referred to a Democrat solution. I heard another member talk about a Democrat member and a Democrat plan. I just wanted to educate our distinguished colleagues that Democrat is the noun. When you use it as an adjective, you say the Democratic member or the Democratic solution or the Democratic.
So we're nitpicking grammar? I think when somebody says the Democrat solution, the Democrat whatever, they're saying it's a plan from Democrats. When they say the Democratic, that makes it sound like a plan everybody agreed on. He does have cancer. Okay. That is not. Democrat and Democratic are two very separate things when talking about something.
Democratic plan.
I just realized he can be #1 in gift subs and bits if you throw them.
And so
I can't get as fancy with G as for the Triple Crown, but I can send you one of those little bread ties in the mail, and you're not going to get the rock flag and eagle ring, but you get a little bread tie ring.
I assume it's a good faith grammatical error the first few times, but after people are corrected several times and they continue to say it, it seems like it's an act of incivility.
Oh my, you're joking, right? When I say the Democrat plan and not the Democratic plan, it's an act of incivility. Might as well be January 6th. If I turn to you, Baba Yaga, and I was like, hey, take a look at this Democrat plan, you're going to assume I am referring to a plan from Democrats. Noun. But if I said, take a look at this Democratic plan, you would assume that I am showing you this plan from voters. Verb. Democratic.
As if every time we mentioned the other party, it just came out with a kind of political speech impediment like, oh, the
Republican. The Republican.
Banana Republican Party. As if we were to say that every time we mentioned the Banana Republican member or the Banana Republican plan.
You realize you're adding a whole other fucking word, right?
Or the Banana Republican Conference. But we wouldn't do that.
You can kind of tell he'd been holding that one in for a while. There was.
Yeah, it was a shit. He was holding in a shit and then he let out a shit on the House floor.
Also, that moment a few weeks ago when freshman New York Democrat Dan Goldman, part of the new Republican-led Committee on the Alleged Weaponization of the Government, pushed the committee chair of that committee, Jim Jordan, on the dozens, he said, of secret whistleblowers that Jordan claims exist without offering any evidence.
You talk about dozens of whistleblowers. When are we going to get that information?
When they testify, when I'll work with the ranking member on.
Why would you expect a House member with whistleblowers to publicly name the whistleblowers? If this had been happening under Trump, or if this was Jim Jordan asking him this same question, the headlines would say Jim Jordan tries to get whistleblowers killed. You would not ask it under Trump. Don't ask it right now.
On that
You don't have any transcriptions of their interviews?
We have the first one, and we have the dozens who come and talk to our office.
Donkey Punch for 45 bits. Thank you very much.
They talk to your office privately,
They talk to Republican staff, right?
and they're not transcribed, no notes, no nothing?
The first one happened Tuesday.
No, I'm not talking about the first one.
The first
I'm
one
talking about
happened Tuesday. The
dozens.
next one happens tomorrow. The third one happens next Wednesday, and we'll continue to do that.
You just said dozens. Do you have notes from those, or they're just talking to you, your staff?
Mr. Chairman.
Are there dozens, Jim? Really, dozens? So that exchange happened last month, and the reason we played it for you, it's notable, because since then...
What? That is absolute pageantry.
The committee has had testimony from a few of those so-called whistleblowers behind closed doors. Republicans claim that these men, who are all former or suspended FBI agents, have inside information about anti-conservative bias among federal law enforcement. And
Haven't we been hearing about this for a long time, and just making fun of it does not debunk it? We are 4 minutes and 30 seconds into this 9-minute clip called Democrats Debunk Jim Jordan's FBI Whistleblower Charade. I haven't heard word one debunking it.
I gotta say, to take a step back for one moment, right? The idea in the abstract that there are corrupt abuses of power among the intelligence or national security or law enforcement agencies in the United States federal government seems perfectly plausible to me. In fact, look at the history of the FBI.
Can we look at the history of the Democrat Department of Intelligence that ran Snowden out of the country because he had the audacity to whistleblow that they were spying on Americans? Well, this thing is not completely out of the realm of possibility. We have proof that this happened under Trump, but this would never happen under a Democrat. That would make them look bad, and we would deny it.
There's been a pretty long record of that in the FBI, okay? So in the abstract, not a crazy contention. Devil's in the details, though. Are these really credible folks? According to a new 300-plus page report from the Democrat.
Remember when they said that if you doubted any of the Trump whistleblowers or accusers, you were anti-woman, anti-black, anti-whatever, whatever, whatever? And now they're on national television going, are these credible? Are these trustworthy? Are you fuck?
That's on the committee. Jim Jordan's star witnessers don't exactly seem to have the goods. So one of them is a retired agent named George Hill. He once tweeted that the January 6th insurrection was actually a setup, who claimed that the
Yeah.
January 6th pipe bomber, remember that person that we have footage of planting those pipe bombs, and has still not
No, this disappeared immediately.
been caught, that pipe bomber is actually a Democratic operative working with the FBI, and that, and I quote him here.
So they're not debunking anything he's saying just yet. They are just reading it out to make it sound implausible.
The FBI are the brown shirt enforcers of the DNC. Okay? So in other words, the FBI whistleblower thinks the FBI operate like fascists, like Nazis, in support of the Democratic Party. This is, just to be clear here, in case you forgot.
In case you forgot, we're sending hundreds of billions of dollars overseas to actual Sieg-heiling, swastika-wearing Nazis. The Democrats don't support Nazi. Ugh.
FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the federal law enforcement, okay? An army of liberalism, a fascist army of liberalism. Jordan also brought forward a suspended agent named Garrett.
The left right now barely stands for capital L liberalism.
Oh, Boyle, this is another witness. And according to the report the Democrats issued, this gentleman, quote, compared COVID-19 vaccine exceptions to the actions of, yes, you guessed it, a Nazi police force.
Well, that was the idea, was that you were going to, by law, enforce people to get the vaccine.
Now, this O'Boyle figure, who's the second of Jordan's illustrious whistleblowers, also has some notable ties to some of Donald Trump's extreme MAGA allies. For instance,
Oh, the extreme MAGA. Does MAGA exist without being labeled as extreme anymore? I genuinely do not know.
he admitted to receiving financial assistance from a former Trump administration figure. That guy, remember him, named Kash Patel?
No.
Patel was Trump's ally in his perceived battle against the so-called deep state, which he claimed, without evidence, was sabotaging his presidency from within. And according to the report, when O'Boyle needed a lawyer, Patel hooked him up with...
Why does this guy talk like a nagging housewife? Because that is exactly what he is.
one of, and I couldn't make this up if I tried, one of Trump's coup-pushing election attorneys. It's a nice circle of life there. That's not all. We got another one. The third...
Was that supposed to be a gotcha? He's one of Trump's attorneys. Yeah.
Third alleged whistleblower. This guy's named Stephen Friend. He also has ties to Kash Patel. He says Patel gave him more than $5,000 shortly after they were introduced, which is a nice thing to do when you just meet someone. I don't know if he does that for everyone he meets. Patel actually gave him a job as well after a friend left the FBI. Now, Friend resigned from the Bureau. And in part, he says the reason was over concerns that the FBI used excessive force when a SWAT raid was used to detain.
I think we know that we've seen nothing but excessive force. 5K for what Chris say the part. Yeah, he's not going to say that part out loud.
A January 6th defendant. And again, I am duty-bound to note here, the FBI or any law enforcement using excessive force in a SWAT raid is a completely plausible complaint, right? Totally plausible. This happens all the time. So it sounds reasonable enough in theory, except, keep reading, according to the New York Times quote, the suspect in question was accused of being a member of a right-wing militia group connected to the 3%er movement.
So he was accused of being part of a group that was connected to another group. So that makes this whole thing fucking pointless. I need a drink. That's what I need. I need a stiff, hard, fucking slug of something on my wall. This shit is bonkers.
Okay, well, do they really need a SWAT team?
Hey, what up, G?
Documents in his case indicate that on January 6th, he posted a video of himself outside the Capitol wearing body armor, not great, and a gas mask, okay, and carrying an AR-15 style rifle.
Okay, yeah, it's not good. That's not good. I don't know who needs to hear this, but even if you're unhappy with an election, don't go to the Capitol with body armor, a mask, and an AR-15. I don't care how unhappy you are, just don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah, exactly, Baba Yaga. Don't be a weirdo. Don't be that guy.
Okay, I think, yeah, you probably want to be a little careful going into
A little bit, yeah.
What's more, according to the report, quote, on cross-examination, Friend admitted that he was not a member of the SWAT team and did not participate in any decisions about the use of the SWAT team.
Okay, but that still doesn't mean he's not part of the FBI. Shit, I wore my body armor to watch his stream, I bet. Well, you're not standing in front of a government official building, so I think you're good, buddy. Hey, Julie.
And he acknowledged that the individuals arrested that day were known by the FBI to be armed and dangerous.
Well, I think that term is a little bit nebulous. Again, we haven't gotten to Democrats debunking Jim Jordan's whistleblowers. I'm gonna make a really big circle about this. I'm not a big fan of the whataboutism argument, but I keep finding myself going back to it over and over and over, because if these were whistleblowers whistleblowing on Trump's regime, we would hear nothing but trying to get their names is putting their lives in danger. Trying to figure out who they are or ascertain who they are is actively putting their lives in danger. Okay? A. B is there has been no debunking. Let's assume half of it is bullshit. That's still 17 FBI agents coming forward and going, hey, By the way, we are actively told to really lean in on this party more than this one. One more thing, and I promise I'll shut up for a moment. The fact that the FBI labels somebody as armed and dangerous is really iffy, because we just covered the story a couple of months ago of the guy who got into an altercation at the abortion protest. Somebody hit his kid, so he hit them back, and the FBI came to his house for defending his kid because he was considered dangerous. So it's really, is nebulous the right word? It's myth. You rarely hear about people who are armed and not dangerous. That dudes that carry but can't operate a fire. Yeah, they're just gonna smack you with it. It's a big stick.
This was Jim Jordan's smoking gun. This was proof of the alleged weaponization of the government. Now, Jordan isn't going to quit here. According to a letter he sent to the head of the FBI last year, he also wants answers about the attempted firings of, quote, FBI employees who were engaged in protected First Amendment activity on January 6, 2020.
What? We have been alerted that the Federal Bureau of Investigation appears to be attempting to terminate the employment of FBI employees who were engaging in protected First Amendment activity on January 6th. Can we get a little explanation of this?
21. What he means by that is folks who are protesting with Trump's mob in Washington on January 6th. Those.
Okay, now I'm genuinely asking people of the chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you are a agent of the federal government, does that remove your ability to protest or be an activist politically? I know it does for the military. I don't know if it does for anything. Oh, Alamo gifting a sub to G. Thank you.
These are the fired FBI agents Jim Jordan thinks are being treated unfairly.
I mean, you can't do it in the military, so I don't know. I don't know if you can do it in the FBI or not, because it's not the same thing.